G'day fellow flight simmers and random YouTubers. Well, today is something completely new for me, and I'm actually live streaming. Now, I have no idea if this is working or not, but I decided to do a bit of a live stream. This is really a bit of an experiment for me at the moment. I'm doing Melbourne Approach, and I just want to see how it turns out, and maybe hopefully give some tips on the best way to take on as an approach controller. So anyhow, I had one guy message me and he said, why don't you use all your things on the one screen? Well, if I put everything on the one screen, this is sort of what happens. And that's without any other stuff coming on. That's a bare minimum. So if you've got VATSIS, I thoroughly recommend you try to get two screens. Now, even if you have to buy a really cheap second screen, but it just makes your life a lot easier. So, so anyhow, I've noticed actually with this, VATSIS, there's a few updates, and one of the really interesting updates is you have a look here, Approach Rmp AR, and I'm not sure what that is, and also Approach Rmp All. Now, if I click that, it gives me all the Rmp approaches to all the aerodromes around here. So that's a handy little thing, because if you look at my ATIS, I've set up my ATIS today, and I said expected GLS or RMP approach, runway 34. So the winds are heavily favouring runway 34. So that's something that wasn't there. Also, when I set up my maps, and I also like to set up, this is what I basically set up, all the CTO, all the MVAs, and you can do the sectors, but and I like to also do the en route labels. Really, for an approach controller, you really don't need that, but I like to do it anyhow. It's just something. Now, also, when as I said, runway 34 is the heavily favoured one, so you can have a look at all the different things you can enable just for Melbourne. So, for example, and you got here Melbourne runway 09 LASO 34. So if they've got LASO operations handy, this is what this is all this is about. Obviously, if there's runway 16, you got runway 16. So today we're just doing using Melbourne runway 34 and the names for all the waypoints for 34. And then you can do all these airways and stuff like that. But they're the things that I like to enable just for Melbourne. Now, of course, if you go to Mackay, you can do that, and Hobart, you can do all those. So they're the things that you can do. Now, what have I done? So today, as you can see, I've only got one guy here, Qantas 1103. He's going from Melbourne. We'll just check out his flight plan. Just to check out flight plan, left click on that, flight plan, and up it comes. And he's flying Airbus, I think, 8210. So he's going to, so yep, I'm hearing impaired. Hello, join the club. He might be an old guy like me. If I cause a problem for anyone, please let me know and I'll vacate the route. Oh, well, we don't worry. We want to encourage as many people as possible here. So, we just like to encourage. I mean, we're fairly tolerant on VATSIM, or most controllers are fairly tolerant on VATSIM, so yeah, it's not a problem. Okay, you can see now this Qantas. Now, you pilots out there, see this guy, he's got he's got QFF, and I guarantee he's probably, we'll have a look at his flight plan. I'm not sure what QFF. I'm assuming this is Qantas. So if that's the case, it's QFA 7304. But we'll have a look anyhow. So firstly, I need to activate his thing is strip, and because it's 3/4, we'll set it up that way. Have a look at. Okay, so oh, hey, Patrick. That was me, James Martin. My name is Patrick James before I changed my name and forgot to change my YouTube. Okay, all right, Patrick. Well, congratulations, Patrick, because you are the first person on my first YouTube stream. So there you go, there's the first. And it's a learning curve for me, Patrick, so hopefully I can introduce you some pointers, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Okay, approach controllers. What are they all about? And what do you control? And the first thing approach controllers normally are in charge of Class C airspace, and you see this light grey area. That's basically, normally that's about 30 miles. So if I put my cursor in backspace, and it gives me this, so it's 30.4. So all this area here is approach controller. Okay, so we got another guy coming on board. Okay, yeah, so we got Fly Doc. Where is he at Essendon? Just give me a second. Okay, we got this Fly Doc guy, and we'll have a look at his flight plan. He's going from Essendon to don't know where, Temple. Okay, and what actually is he doing? So this is something you really, I mean, this flight plan, this route details, he's telling me, I'm assuming he maybe wanted to do it on ILS, practice ILS, I'm not sure. So if you don't want to do an ILS, he should be putting a destination YMEN, so he can do the practice ILS. But we'll see. We'll ask him later on. Okay, Patrick, you've been controlling a lot. We may have been joking around with William a bit earlier. I'm not sure what actually. Oh, well, you're talking about William Chu or something, is it? I'm not sure. Okay, so we'll. Now, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay, so basically, what serves as the approach controller? Well, basically, it's obviously giving descent and giving climb clearances to aircraft. You're controlling mainly Class Charlie, which is it's probably the most cumbersome. I wouldn't say, no, it's not cumbersome, but okay, yeah, all right. Okay, Patrick. Yeah, so it's the Class Charlie is the most onerous class of airspace because it doesn't matter what type of aircraft, if IFR or VFR, you need a clearance to operate in there. And and I see people that, you know, they want to go Moorabbin, they want to go direct to Melbourne, and they say, well, we just want to fly direct. Well, it's a little bit more involved than that. If you're VFR aircraft, you need to put the flight plan in, and you need to file it as a VFR flight plan. You know, the amount of times I've seen people, I'm just going to, you know, take off from Moorabbin and go direct to Melbourne. Well, if you're VFR aircraft, it doesn't quite work that way. You've actually got to come through the VFR reporting, not reporting points, but they are like reporting points. I'll show you. I'm not sure if you've seen what VFR flight or VFR, what they call a VMC chart, visual, which means a visual navigation chart, and you've got certain points that you have to report, and they are visual things. It could be, you know, could be a shopping centre, or it could be a dam, or anything like that. I mean, I'm familiar with Jandicott because living over here in Perth, but we have even this old unused power station, and we also got an amusement centre. It's that you know, they fly over just before they enter the Jandakot control zone. They have to report at this amusement, or not an amusement centre. It's like a fun park. So yeah, and there's one that's just two major highways intersect, and they have to use that as a reporting point. So yeah, so getting back to what the approach controller, now because I'm providing a top-down service, obviously I'm going to be giving clearances to aircraft as well. We've got SB OBS, whoever that is, that's Stephen, and SL OBS, that's Sean. Okay, James. There we go. We changed my account to James Martin. Okay, rightio. Now, I'm totally confused. For Patrick James Patrick, James Martin. I don't know what's going on. Who's on first? What's on second? God. Okay, I haven't heard anything. I hope these guys, well, they can call me up, I guess, whenever, but I'm sure they'll call me soon. Now, getting back to this. Okay, normally we as an approach controller, we control in class Charlie, but we also control in class Delta, and Avalon is your typical Delta class airspace, which is down here. So we control Avalon, and we also control, and when I say control, we provide a service to IFR aircraft within that airspace. Now, for example, let's say Moorabbin, which is down, probably down here somewhere. This is Moorabbin. Now, if you're an IFR aircraft, you have to provide a service, even though if Moorabbin Tower wasn't manned, this straight away becomes a Class G airspace. So, but because it's an IFR aircraft, you still have to provide a service with them. In other words, you've got to give them a traffic service. So if you're an IFR aircraft planning to come to Melbourne, you still have to provide a traffic information service to that aircraft, even though it's in uncontrolled airspace. Now, of course, Melbourne Tower was online. Well, they would talk to Melbourne Tower, then they'll pass 2,500 because the Moorabbin class airspace is the Melbourne, I got standby. Okay, so we see that Melbourne ATIS has changed, so save that.
Melbourne Terminal Information Tank.
And we broadcast that. Okay, so the winds have changed and the QNH is now 1017. Okay, so yeah, so we provide, this is a control zone up to 2,500. So passing 2,500, they call the Melbourne Approach, and obviously, you know, give them a clearance and any height restrictions or whatever restrictions we need to tell these guys. So now, James Martin, are you the same person as Patrick James? I'm not sure. Anyhow, so I'm not sure what these guys are doing. Actually, and I think this is a Melbourne. I think they've just logged off. Oh well, they don't want to be on my YouTube channel. Maybe they're a bit shy. Who knows? Okay, what else can I talk about? Avalon. Avalon gets a bit messy. Avalon, if it's not towered, then it's the airspace around Avalon is very, very, very complicated. And first of all, well, we don't want that. We go to Air Services. We'll go to Aeronautical Information. Go to air service. This is how you obtain the charts, by the way. See the visual terminal chart. So, and you have a look, and down here, oops, that's the wrong one. Now, as I was saying before, hi Maxwell, how you going? Okay, yeah, I have changed my name to 2 years ago from Patrick James. Oh, right, no, to James. Okay, righto, James. Okay, so this is, as I was saying, this is a VFR chart, visual navigation chart. Now, I highly recommend you sort of get to understand what these charts are, because as far as I'm concerned, these days a lot of people make mistakes. I understand you young guys. I don't know how young you guys are out there, James and Max. And I know you love the jets and all this, and I've been saying it for years. You're only shortchanging yourself if you start off with jets and try to fly a jet, because in that way you're learning how to run before you can walk. And I know that's probably sounds a little bit sort of, I know the excitement is with all these, with the jets, but you're going to be missing out and knowing basic navigation skills and basics. You learn the basics. Now, remember as I was saying before, if you're going Moorabbin, you see the control zone here. This is CTR, Moorabbin CTR. And I'll try to explain to you guys what, yeah, I know, exactly. Avalon can be a little bit. Hi, Luca, how you going? Yeah, Avalon can be, but we'll get onto that later. So this is the Moorabbin control zone, and you can see it's surfaced. This here basically SFC. I'll try to zoom in a bit more. You can see SFC to 2,500 is the control zone, and that's, as you can see there.
Untitled Approach, g'day, flight up 401, request starting airways clearance at Essendon, warnable.
Flight up 401, standby 1. Flight up 401, don't have that. Can you just amend your flight plan? You haven't indicated your destination.
Flight 401, that should come through now.
Okay, you can see here, Essendon Warrnambool via Temple. Okay. Flight level 260, okay. Let's have a look at his route. Okay, good. Okay, now, this is going to be, Essendon is tricky because it's in controlled airspace. And I can't just say no report or IFR, because Essendon, I'll show you why in a minute on the charts, it's a whole different procedure. And the way you look at it is you go to your TMA for Melbourne. And now I'm a bit rusty myself, so please don't go with what I say. I might stuff this completely up. But anyhow, we'll see. Okay, first of all, we're going to find out now what are the conditions at Essendon, because he'll be, and I have no idea. So what's a good thing to do is...
Flight 401, let me know when you get that.
401, say again?
Flight 401, let me know when you get that flight plan.
401 will do. So you can see it favours the winds at Essendon at 330 at 9 knots, and QNH is 1016. Okay, so basically at Essendon, I have to give him the surface conditions, and basically it's not like a normal clearance, but I've also got to give him extra information. And so the winds are favouring 3-5. Okay, this is his flight strip. Flight Hawk 401, clearance available.
Flight 401.
Oh, thanks, Daniel. Cheers. Yeah, I know. Just jumped on, looking good. I believe that there's...
Flight 401, flash message.
Yeah, Flight Hawk 401, you're cleared to Warrnambool via Temple planned route by the SID climb to 4,000, runway 35, Essendon 8 departure, squawk 1453. Essendon Q&H is now 1016, temperature is now 22. And report at the holding point, runway 35.
Cleared Warrnambool via Temple planned route to climb by the of 4,000, runway 35, Essendon 8 departure, squawk 1453, QNH 1016, flight up 401.
Flight up 401. Yeah, now, like I said, I probably stuffed all that up because, like I said, Essendon can be a bit tricky because it's still within the class Charlie airspace. So, but anybody, don't, like I said, that could have been complete stuff up from me because you don't have that many aircraft going from Essendon. So, whatever you do, make sure you stay in touch, or you know all your phraseology for your Avalon or Essendon departures, arrivals. Also Moorabbin, of course, depending on if it's IFR, VFR. Yeah, so Daniel probably already knew that though. Yeah. So now Essendon 8 departure. Essendon 8 departure is a radar departure. So when he reports ready, I need to give him actually headings, and from there, from there I'll clear him. Now, he's I think he's flight level 260. Okay, so that's okay. Also, a lot of people make mistakes in far as they don't know the airspace. So you can see there's 5,000, 4,000. Let's say he's an IFR aircraft and he's planned for whatever reason going south 2,500. I know it's a ridiculous, or not, sorry, 2,000 because he's going that way. You've got to know when this guy leaves your airspace. And I think a lot of people don't realise when. You've always got to be aware of when that person leaves your airspace, because if it's a VFR aircraft and he goes into Class G, well, guess what? He's no longer your responsibility. A, because he's a VFR aircraft and he's saying, I'm now outside Class G airspace, I can look after myself. Now, and therefore that's when you say control and radar service terminated, frequency change approved, because it's a VFR aircraft and he'll now change to a different frequency, and it might be a CTAF or whatever.
401 ready, 35.
Flight off 401, assigned heading left 310, contact me airborne, runway 35, clear for takeoff.
Assigned heading left 350, runway 35, clear for takeoff, flight off 401.
Now, actually, I think I stuffed that up too, guys. So you can see I'm not too, I should have told him that in the clearance. And if anybody gets that TMA, I should have a look at the TMA. But anyhow, we'll run with it. And I don't think I really did that too well. But anyhow, we'll see how we go. And I think I said left 310, but that's something you use in the... Yep, so he's doing the right thing.
Flight up 401, 401, 1600, climbing 4000, left heading 310.
Flight Hawk 401 identified. Climb to flight level 260.
Climb level 260, 201.
Now, excellent. Flight Hawk 30, correction, Flight Hawk 401, resume our navigation, track direct at temple plan route.
Resume navigation, direct temple plan route, Flight Hawk 401.
Anyhow, that was great. I've stuffed that completely up, guys, so please just pretend nothing happened there. I know, but it's so yeah, like normally he's now flying overflying Melbourne, which is probably not a good idea. But anyhow, we'll see how we go. What's this? Turkish Virtual Airlines VA. Okay. So his flight THY 9509. Anybody know what THY means? Oh, actually, I'll tell you what. There's something. THY. If you ever wondered how to work out the ICAO, so if you want to know what I know THY is, there's a great. Oh, I'll get back to this later. There's a lot of things happening now. I have this thing called airline codes, and this is a great handy thing. So, Ansett Airlines, the ICAO code. Oh, by the way, you guys, please put ICAO. Don't put the IATA code when you're flying. Put your ICAO code. So let's see if THYY, whatever it was called. THY is, there you go, Turkish Airlines. So what's their call sign? We go here, Turkish Airlines, and there's the Turkish. There you go, there's the call sign there, Turkish. So there you go. So if you're ever stuck and you want to know what does ABL mean or whatever, for the ICAO, well, that's a great site there. It's, I'll bring it up again. So yeah, airlinecodes.info//ICAO. So you can see all these. So that's really handy. So, and you can browse by ICAO and all sorts of things. So he's going to Warrnambool. Okay. And also, when you flight plan, guys, make sure you fly into the right level. I know I say it all the time. I know these people, they've been flying for 10 years and they still get it wrong. So, because they're not, doesn't matter what SimBrief tells you, always check to see if you're at the flight level. So, he's going west, so even numbers. Now, and so any more customers? We've got Turkish. He's going from Melbourne to Auckland. Okay. And we'll 34 cause. Okay. So you guys out there, okay, let's get back to this. The VTC, if you're interested in. When you start, like I said before, and as I was saying before, understand VFR before you start mucking about with IFR and jets, guys, because see how these diamonds there? They're your reporting points. And if you're coming into Moorabbin, and so you can see there, if you're coming in from the north, there's a place called Academy, which you track to. Now, if you've got Microsoft Flight Simulator, this is great. Because you can some of these places you can actually see it. It's actually there, like the Brighton Jetty. I know it's there with Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I'm not sure. I remember I was flying with P3D and I used to look for it, and it was really hard to find. But now with Microsoft Flight Simulator, so these are reporting points you must be reporting at before you actually go into the Moorabbin control zone. And like I said, if you want to fly from Moorabbin to Melbourne, this is what they call a VFR route. So, for example, if you guys want to go from Moorabbin over to the west, I've seen people go, we'll go straight through Melbourne and then we go out that way. Well, this here tells you basically this is the way. If you want to go west, you go along the coast here, and also try to stay out of control zone. If you're a VFR aircraft, or try to, because in real life, flying is hard enough, but so you don't want to be talking to an air traffic controller unless it's a thing with you. I'm not sure, but try to stay out of the control. And along here, you'll normally fly at about 1,500, and that keeps you all below the class.
Good day, Melbourne Approach, Turkish 90509er, radio check.
Oh, hello. Turkish 9509, g'day Melbourne Centre, read you 5x5, sir.
Roger, then 90509er, information Tango, stand Delta 18, request Ifr Clearance to Auckland.
Turkish 9509, you're cleared to Auckland via course plan route via the SID. Climb to 5,000, runway 34. Course 9 departure, squawk 1123, and departures with me on 132.0.
Couldn't copy, Squawk, say again, please.
Turkish 9509, squawk 1123.
Clear to destination as planned via course 9 departure, initial flight level 5,000 feet, squawk 1123, runway 34 in use. Turkish 90509er.
Turkish 9509. Now, I'm not sure if you guys, when you've got them, I still don't know what VSCS means, guys, but anyhow, you got snowy, and there's two buttons here. One is the blue and one is the yellow. The yellow is the hotline. So if I press that, it opens up Snowy's mic straight away, and he'll say, go ahead, approach, or stand by, because he may be busy. And this is the cold line. So if I press that, then he presses his button on the other side, and I can talk to him.
Hello.
G'day, Snow. You want flight off fire 401 or not?
Yes.
You want him?
Yep, sure.
Okay, cheers. And I just realised a mistake, guys. Flight off 401, contact Melbourne Centre 124.0.
124.0, flight of 401.
Can anybody please tell me what mistake I did there? Anybody, if you're still on my channel, maybe. Does anybody know? James, you still there? Maxwell? Okay, what I did with flight doc 401 is I cleared him up to flight level 260. Now, as most of you know, the upper limit of my airspace as an approach controller is not 260, it's 240. So basically I've told him to go up into the Snowy's airspace without his consent. So that's another one. It's a good way to start a stream when you do as many stuff ups as this. But anyhow, so if there are any questions out there, go right ahead. Hopefully I can do better. Who's on Snowy? Oh, Daniel. Daniel's on Snowy. Okay. Turkish 9509, I'll just be away from the set for a couple of minutes.
Copy that, 90509.
Okay, I'm back. Let's see how we go.
Melbourne Approach, 90509er.
9509, go ahead.
Turkish 90509 ready for push and start.
Turkish 9509, push approved. Turkish 9509, just confirm push approved.
Push at foot, and I assume it push facing south.
Well, not many customers tonight. What are we, Thursday? Ah, right, that's okay. Here we go. Okay, anybody out there you can see this Avalon, and you can see the airspace around Avalon. You've got the lowest level class. The control zone Avalon is from surface to 2,500, and it's all this dotted blue line here. It's 8 nautical miles DME from the 8 nautical mile DME from the aerodrome reference point. So it's got this sort of shape along here, and then above 2,500 you've got class Echo airspace, which is 2,500 to 4,500, and it's this brown sort of, you got this brown thing there. So, and then above that is class Charlie, which is 4,500. So you can see it's it gets a bit messy with Avalon. And class Echo airspace, class Echo airspace, I'm not sure, but I think they still need clearances to enter the class Echo airspace. That's the major thing with Avalon.
Melbourne Terminal in.
Okay, we got now. Well, I wish things were a little bit more exciting, because let's hope what's on. We got 5. I'm looking at VATSPY at the moment. Have a look at VATSPY. They're going everywhere except Melbourne. They're going to Los Angeles, Auckland, Singapore, and Brisbane. And this guy is going to Sydney. And this guy is roller 33. He's going east sail. East sail to east sail. So he's only going to be doing exercise in the okay, so I'll just update. So we got New Zealand 148, yeah, 320.
Turkish 90509 are ready for taxi.
Turkish 9509, a taxi to holding point Kilo, runway 34.
Clear to taxi to runway 34, holding point K4, Turkish 90509.
Turkish 9509, just confirm holding point Kilo, runway 34.
Holding point Kilo, Turkish 90509.
Well, I've been live for 47 minutes. Nothing much happening. That's unfortunate. Turkish 9509, center, approach.
Go ahead.
Turkish 9509, just confirm your squawking mode, Charlie. There's a requirement to squawk mode, Charlie, on the ground, sir.
Roger. I'll do it, Charlie. 90509. Got more Charlie, Turkish 90509.
9509, thanks. Okay, let's hopefully I'll remember just to clear him up to flight level 240, which is in the Melbourne local instructions. And even if you look at the charts here, no, actually go back to the Melbourne terminal area charts, and we'll look at for Melbourne, I think is TAC 3. Okay, the lowest level is class Alpha. Okay, flight level 180. Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. See, we're controlling 30 nautical miles. If you can see that, so we're controlling, oh, Jesus. We're controlling 30 nautical miles, which is all, and you can see the control steps. Class Charlie, lowest level 3,500. Class Charlie, lowest level 500. And that's where we stop, 30 DME. Now, the lowest level after between 30 and you see over here 45 is for Class Charlie 8,000.
Turkish 90509 ready for departure.
Turkish 9509, contact me airborne, runway 34, clear for takeoff.
Clear to takeoff, runway 34, Turkish 90509.
So you've got Class Alpha. Now Alpha is obviously just only for IFR aircraft. And normally, I'll have to check on this, normally you don't really, as an approach controller, you don't normally get to give clearances into Class Alpha, but I could be wrong for that. That's interesting anyhow. And I'm not sure if the TMA is correct, but then again I listened to the live ATCs and approach controllers in Melbourne clear them up to flight level 240, so that's interesting. I'll have to check up on that. And you can see in the real world, see we in VATSIS make it a little bit easier but in the real world you've got, you've got Melbourne Centre Macedon, 1224, 1357, and Melbourne Centre 123 decimal. I'm just trying to look at the boundaries of these.
Airborne, Turkish 90509.
Turkish 9509, verify level, sir. See, now this has stumped him, because for you guys out there, he should be saying, and hopefully you all know this, Turkish 959, passing 1,900, climb to 5,000. That is your airborne report. And please do not confuse it with your departure report. Departure reports and airborne. Turkish 9509, you understand my request, sir?
Couldn't copy. Say again, please. 909.
Turkish 9509, verify level passing.
Roger. Will verify passing 5,000 feet.
No, I need to, Turkish 9509, I need you to look at your navigation display or your primary flight display and tell me what level you're passing now.
Passing 3,600.
Turkish 9509, you're identified via the SID, climb to flight level 370.
Clear to final 370, Turkish 90509.
Turkish 9509, confirm climb to flight level 370.
Final 370, 90509.
Okay. Okay, here's my next customer. He's been cleared down to, whoa, that's a bit early. Whoa. Okay, who can tell me what's wrong with that? He's passed me off. This guy is 56 miles before he gets into my airspace. And I'll tell you why he's done, why, because I guarantee you this guy here flying, using a 148, he's using the A320neo, which does not have, which doesn't have VNAV, and I guarantee you, he gave him his clearance, or he gave him his star clearance and said, when ready, descend to flight level 210, blah, blah, blah. Now, see, this controller, and I won't, Snowy, has done the wrong thing here. Well, not really, no, he hasn't really done the wrong thing, but he's passed him off. Wait.
Approach, good day. This is New Zealand 148 at flight level 90 with the Lizzie 1 Alpha.
New Zealand 148, good day, Melbourne Approach. Now, I can't give him further descent. Train Crazy. How are you? Oh, you retracted your message. I'd like to know what that was all about. But yeah, so because the lowest level, see, you've got Class Charlie here, see 125, and your Class Echo. Now, I can't give him any further descent until he gets into this area here, this light grey area. So he's commenced, or he's given, either he's commenced his descent way too early, and this guy here shouldn't have given him any further descent. So that's interesting. So he's got about, I'm pressing back, select this guy, press backspace, and that tells you information, 48 miles, heading 225, and he'll be there in 11 minutes. So this is a useful tool. So you just select, hit your backspace key, and then to deselect, you just click the middle mouse button. Okay, so I've got to keep this guy, and see that from a piloting point of view, it's not really the most desirable thing to do. It happened in the real world, but anyhow, it's not good piloting technique. You want to be on a constant flight angle, or a constant descent path, I should say. And normally that equates to roughly about a 3-degree descent profile. So even though the Neo for Microsoft is very good, but unfortunately with VNAV, but there is a rule that you can work out, and it should have it actually on the, I believe on the Neo these days, they've got like the tablet, and it gives you sort of your top of descent. And any of you guys out there, when you hear the center control say, when ready, descend to flight level 210, for God's sake, don't start descending there and then when he tells you. It means when you're ready, in other words, when you're getting close to top of descent, in other words, 5 miles, maybe 10 miles at most, away from your top of descent point, that's when you can start descending. You do all your checklists, and then just before you reach the top of descent, you can start descending. You know, the number of times I've seen people, you know, as soon as I tell them, when ready, descend to flight level 210, they start the descent, and they're about, 200 miles away. And the top of descent is only about 100 miles away. And then they wonder why they're just flying at, 150 miles away from Melbourne. They're flying at 9,000 all the way or whatever. So just be aware of that, guys. If you're when the center controller says when ready, it means exactly that. When you're ready, it doesn't mean to descend straight away. New Zealand 148, just confirm your QNH setting is 1017.
should be now. Sorry about that. We didn't enable it. It's on the front.
I have no idea what he said. Sam. No Paul. Right, okay. Turkish 9509, contact Melbourne Centre 124.0. Bye-bye.
Got into Melbourne Control at 124.0. Bye-bye, good day.
Okay, also, there's something that, as an approach controller, and I know it seems a bit onerous, but you've got to really know, and you've got to know your charts, i.e. approach charts, because you've got to know whether, you're going to descend them for the ILS at 2,500 or 3,000 or 4,000. Like, for example, if runway 16 is in use, you got Belter as the initial approach fix for your ILS 16. Well, if they're coming from the north, you descend them down to 4,000. If they're coming from the east, they're coming by Lizzie 8 on runway 16, you descend them to 3,000. And there's a reason for that, because it's easier at 3,000. It's easier to get the acquire the glide slope. See, because you're coming in from the north here, 4,000, you acquire the glide slope quite early, but you come from the east. Excuse me for. Oh, I had to sneeze. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So coming from the east, you acquire the glide slope a lot easier, and you come under the glide slope. Whereas if you imagine localising the glide slope here, and you're coming from the north, you acquire the glide slope very early at 4,000 at Belter. So you've got to know the charts, and on the ATIS I've got expect GLS or RMP approach. So depending on what sort of approach they nominate, and if you don't know that, you can easily go to ATC Assist. I'm not sure if this is working. The other day it wasn't working, so I'll have a look. See if the GLS, no, not working. Okay, that's good. So GLS runway 34, you can see you put them down to 2,500. They come in through this way, and 2,500. You probably ask what a GLS approach. You can see down here, GLS approach gets them to 530 feet, which is 200 feet above the aerodrome. And one's your radio altitude, and one's the whatever the other altitude is. It's been a long time since I was piloting, but that's your radio altitude, which means your altitude above the runway. And this is your, I forgot it, anyhow. So, and this is almost like a virtual ILS. The GLS approach is something that's been introduced, well, it's fairly new, but it's like a virtual ILS. And the RMP, well, that's been around for a while. It's a type of RNAV approach, but it's a lot less cumbersome. RNAV approaches normally go like in a zigzag fashion from one point to another, but whereas an RMP, you can go into a curved sort of, it cuts out. You don't have to go like in a zigzag fashion to follow the waypoints. It gives you like an arc into, and if you have a look at the charts here for the RMP approach, okay, this Melbourne proved me wrong. Melbourne, you can see the minimas for the RNAV of the RMP is 690, whereas the GLS was a lot lower. So the GLS is, like I said, it's like a virtual ILS. But normally, one of the most famous RMP approaches is into Queenstown. I think it's a 05, and you can see, you look at the Queenstown RMP approach, it gets you, it's a way of getting around through, because Queenstown is mountainous, you've got all these huge mountains. The RMP sort of gets you around the mountains and in an arc fashion. And it's probably if you're a pilots out there, it's probably one of the most challenging approaches to make, actually, the old RMP into Queenstown. Now, straight away I know this guy is going to be a problem. New Zealand 148 Centre approach.
New Zealand 148.
New Zealand 148, just confirm if you're at the you're set up for the Lizzie 8 Alpha runway 34, sir, not 16.
Yeah, we should have on 34. I mean, I have it in my flight plan, so I don't know. New Zealand 148.
Oh, New Zealand 148, you look like you're deviating off track, sir. Stand by. New Zealand 148, you should be tracking to a waypoint called Monty. Do you need vectors?
Yeah, we do need Victors, because I'm direct to Horace right now. So I'm for it.
Yeah, 148, yeah, that's for the runway 16, sir. The duty is 34, so via the SID, via the star descent to 5,000, and stand by for your vectors.
Copy to 75,000 and then stand by.
Using 148, turn left heading 210, and if you can, track direct to Monty.
Heading 210 now, I'll see what I can do as well. So in the flight plan, I got a RNAV 34 with the Lizzie 8 Alpha star, so I don't know. For New Zealand for
New Zealand 148, roger. You can either have the RNAV or the GLS for 34.
we'll have the RNAV.
Roger, New Zealand 148, you can expect that. New Zealand 148, can you track to a waypoint called VPUD?
Negative.
New Zealand 148, do you require vectors or have you put in the star?
If we can get back to the please.
Sorry, sir, you're breaking up. Say again?
If we can get back to us please for that, for New Zealand for.
See, this is just inattention. Yeah, that's right, Patrick. Yep. And also, if it goes into, I'll show you actually later on also something else with VATSIS, which is using 148, turn right heading 220.
Right, 220. There's one more.
Okay, you can see this guy needs vectors because guess what? He didn't check his flight plan, didn't check his FMC, maybe he's in a hurry, he has to go out to a nightclub tonight. Who knows? But it's just not good enough. Using 148, descend to 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah, okay. He says, I have RNAV 34 Lizzie 8. It's weird. Must be an MF bug or something. No. Well, trust me, you guys out there, more often than not, it's pilot error. Trust me. Because the old story, garbage in is garbage out. If you program the FMC and you stuff it up, well, guess what? It's going to tell you. So he just hasn't checked. Now he needs vectors. So if I want to know what sort of vector to get him onto from Gula there, which is there, I hit the backspace and basically 245 turn right. I'll get him at Gula. I'll get him to turn right at 245.
Melbourne Terminal Information Victor.
Yeah, that's Patrick. That with the what they call a data tag, it depends. If he's outside your airspace, that it will change. And I'll show you what I mean later on. Using 148, turn right heading at 230, descend to 3,000.
Turn right, 230 and descend 3,000.
Now the RNAV for runway 34 starts at 2,500. If we look at the charts, which don't work, we see the RNAV 2,500 at Actal. So I can lower him down to 2,500. Using 148, turn right heading 240.
Turn right, 240. Turn 140. And approach 048. If you would like, I could direct to Actal. I have that.
Roger, sir. From present position, track direct to Actal, and from Actal, sir, you cleared the RNAV approach runway 34.
Copy for Mike 2, clear for the approach, 3-4, thank you.
Okay, so that saves me a bit of time. That's a bit of, reduces my workload, so that's good. Not sure who he is. He could be, okay, he's at Point Cook. Not sure what he's, let's have a look. Circuit training in the local Point Cook area. Okay, so he's going to be doing training in the alert. He's a RAF via virtual. Okay. So the question is, he's a VFR aircraft doing circuits, I imagine, or he's in the circuit training local point. If you guys out there, anyone can tell me, does he need to call me? Yes or no? And why? That's right, exactly right. He's Octa. Yep. He's a VFR aircraft. He's in Class G airspace. So, do I need to talk to him? Nope. He probably doesn't even have to. He doesn't even have to do a flight plan because I don't really care because he's in Class G. I don't care. Because if you're a VFR aircraft in Class G airspace, you receive no ATC service. Okay? And when you think about it, really, I mean, that just makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you're a VFR aircraft, and the way to think about it is that if I'm a VFR aircraft, I'm telling the air traffic controller, look, I can look out, I can navigate on my own, I don't need you, and I'll look out for other aircraft. So I don't need the air traffic control. Because that's what VFR is basically. Somebody files VFR, they're saying, I can look after myself and I can navigate on my own. Now, of course, if you're in Class C, which is the most onerous type of airspace, you still need a clearance, and you are afforded a service, and it's a traffic service, of course. So it depends on the airspace you are as well. So that's something you have to sort of keep in mind. But basically, if I'm in Class Charlie airspace, I'm still afforded a service by air traffic control, and he'll give me traffic information, but I'm doing my own navigation because I'm saying, look, I'll look out the window and I can see, yep, I'm going to follow the coast, or I'm going to go track direct to that shopping centre, or I'm going to track direct to the old used power station or whatever. But I still need, but I'm still afforded a service by air traffic control if I'm in Class Charlie. But if I'm in Class Golf, which is not controlled, well, why do I need to talk to air traffic control? New Zealand 148, runway 34, clear to land.
Clear land 3-4, is that okay?
Now, what's Microsoft Flight Simulator for you guys out there listening? What I'm going to do until Microsoft Flight Simulator gets its act together, I'm going to be doing a series of tutorials where I'm going to be, and I'm not sure if any of you guys leave control area descending. Well, it depends. If I'm an IFR aircraft and I'm in controlled airspace and I go, let's say for example, I'm going from Melbourne into Moorabbin, and I'm an IFR aircraft, yep, leave control area descending, no reported IFR. However, if I'm a VFR aircraft and I'm leaving your airspace and I'm going into uncontrolled airspace, i.e. Moorabbin, and when it's not towered, okay, then it's a matter of radar and identification services terminated, frequency change approved, okay, because he's a VFR aircraft and he's going into uncontrolled airspace. Now, if it's an IFR aircraft, he's going to Melbourne to Moorabbin, then it's leave control area descent, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's leaving my controlled area, which is class Charlie, and he's going into Moorabbin, which is, if it's not towered, it's uncontrolled airspace. So there is a difference. So just be careful of that for future. So it all depends what airspace you're going into or flying into or out of, and whether you're an IFR or VFR. So that's something that's really... Now also, that's something that you have to bear in mind. And also this guy here, don't know what his call sign is actually. Astra, okay. Astra as in astronomical or what? Okay, so if I want to get rid of this flight plan, and because I don't really need it, you just hit cancel and this will deactivate the flight and just get rid of it, because I don't need to talk to him. So
New Zealand 148 back at free flight.
New Zealand 148, taxi to the bay.
Taxi to the bay.
Okay, so let's just check, see if there's anything exciting happening. It's also, you guys, you pilots, you know how many times I get told by, am I got to contact you, or do I have to contact Snowy, or do I? Get this thing called VATSPY, guys. It's amazing. And this tells you exactly when to, this tells you the boundaries. You can see Snowy is all around here. And I've got this guy coming in, KLM flight. And this basically tells you, who you need to contact. And you can see the boundary, this is Tail and Bend, all this area here is Tail and Bend. So it's probably worth your while to download VATSPY. And that way you know which controller you need to contact. I'm just using my arrow keys to navigate here. Okay, I don't think there's really much happening at the moment. What time? It's 5:30. Okay, let's hope. Now, as I was saying before, sorry, I got distracted. As I was saying before, if you guys are familiar with a thing called Pilot Edge, but once Microsoft sort of finish with their updates, and I'll be doing something very similar to what Pilot Edge will be doing in the future. And what I'm going to...
And New Zealand 148 today to see that.
New Zealand 148, not a problem, sir. See you next time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off and I'll go from really a basic flight, say from one CTAF to another. In other words, from one controlled aerodrome to another. And then, and if you've anybody's been on Pilot Edge, that's basically what they do. They've got a whole lot of VFR. What do they call it? And Pilot is very good, by the way. So you got here we go. So you got your CAT ratings and you got your I ratings. So if you go to CAT ratings, and they start off with from CAT 1 non-towered to non-towered, and now here you've got to realise, see, our airspace is very different to America. See, their class, they got the most onerous one is they work their way up from something that's pretty simple, from a non-towered to non-towered. In other words, you're only making CTAF transmissions, and then you're going to a non-towered to a Class D, and a Class D is very similar to, well, it's sort of like our Class D, but there's a few things that's different. See, the blue, that's a Class D, and it's a regional airport, and I guess it's sort of like it's very similar to our Class D airspace, like Bankstown and it's very similar to that. So, and they work their way up. So they go from Class D to non-towered to Class D, and then, well, pattern work, and then from Class D to Class D, and then, well, flight flying, and then they work up to Class C transition, which is very similar to we don't have a class. We have our Class C is not the same as their Class C. Our Class C is very similar to their Class B, which is, see, like for example, there's their Class B. If I can just, LAX is Class B, which is equivalent to our Class Charlie. So what I'll be doing in future is I'll work my way up, and I'll just do the CTAFs, and then I'll do what you need to transmissions for going into, say, Jandakot or Moorabbin or whatever. And then I'll go, I'll transition. I'll go through the Class Delta airspace, what you need to say, and then from there I'll work my way up into Class Charlie. So that's what I'll be doing. That's my plans for the future, and hopefully I'll be doing some live streams there. So, so anyhow, I don't think there's much happening. I'm probably being bored as it is. So until next time, I'll catch us all later, and you all have a good night, and hopefully you've learnt something.